everyone, welcome back to the channel for yet another video where we'll be going through the latest press conference news and how my team will be looking up to game week 9. But more importantly, right now, like it is flashing on the screen, it is important to remind you the deadline for this game week is today, Friday, the 25th of October. Those in Uganda, 8:30 p.m. is the deadline. I have a number of friends who usually miss the deadline. This is the very important reminder to you all before we go to anything else. So going into our updates, like you already saw, some of the bad news that has come out already is that Son is unlikely to be fit for game week 9. He's been struggling with a hamstring injury, and I think he's still not yet ready because we did notice he didn't play in the Europa Cup, and they mentioned at first they were giving him extra rest. But from the latest updates, it looks like Ange Postecoglou has confirmed he may not be fit for this week. Now we have a number of us, including myself, that had already brought him in because he had even increased in price, meaning very many people were bringing him in. And this is a big blow, though personally I'll be going through what my decisions will be going further. Next important one is Arsenal. Arsenal did also provide some. It's Teta. He never helps with his press conferences, but at least he did hint on a few things. One was that Calafiori was to undergo any extra tests. It wasn't as the injury wasn't as bad as they feared, is what I heard. But he was going to have some scans, and he mentioned that the last time something like this happened, he played again in 3 days later. So you see that the information is not conclusive. Saka did some training on the grass, and he hopes he will be able to make it at least for Sunday. My chance, my what I think is that I think he'll make it for the Sunday game. And he also mentions Timber is also a wait and see. So the updates we got from Arsenal. Liverpool, obviously Diogo Jota. For those that have him, he did limp off in the first half of the match against Chelsea. It still seems like his injury is serious. He has a rib injury. Remember, someone I did fall on, I think, did fall on him or something in one of the collisions. So his injury seems to be going on. Federico Chiesa and Conor Bradley are doubts as well for the Sunday match too. And obviously, as we communicated last week, Allison and Harvey Elliott are still sidelined. I think till the next Allison till the next international window, but Elliott may be up. I think up to next year because his is a bit longer. City, he mentions that the injury situations remain the same. Basically, the people that we know are out are still out. We did notice or did get to know that in the Champions League match, before the Champions League match, Grealish and Doku didn't make it or were confirmed injured. So that added to their injury list as well. So on top of Rodri, Bob, and KDB, and Walker, who did get injured during the international break, they also did add Doku and Doku and Grealish to the injury list. So all of those are out. I think that also brings high demand for people who have Foden. So part of what I'm going to discuss, I think, later on is on some of the replacements for Son. For those that want to make a move directly, we do have the likes of Palmer and Foden who can be very able replacements. The next information what we got was from the Newcastle press conference. He did mention that Kieran Trippier, Jamal Lascelles, Botman remain on the sidelines, and also Matt Target has been spotted since his eczema flare up. For more news, Crystal Palace, obviously, he did mention that there's no change in the injury list for their situation as well, just like Man City's. Glasner did confirm that Richards, Riyad, Franca, Dukure, all of them remain out. And then he mentions that Adam Wharton will play the next 3 matches before potentially undergoing his surgery. The next news we got for Bournemouth was only just one thing that was about Alex Scott, that he will be in action for more than 6 weeks and after. And sorry, he won't be in action for more than 6 weeks after undergoing his knee surgery. So you get to notice that these are some of the information we did get from Fantasy Football Scout. At least they managed to provide some of the latest press conferences of what was happening today. From West Ham, Mohamed Kudus, as we know, Kudus is out for the straight red card he got, so he's going to be serving his 3 match ban for his violent conduct. There was nothing from Lopetegui in terms of the fitness updates of the likes of Nicholas Fulkrug, so we didn't get anything in that angle. For Wolves, Sam Johnston is back in training, is what they mentioned. He missed last game because we did notice Sa did come in and he did put on a very good show. So Sam Johnston is back in training, and the coach did mention that he already has. It's very clear to him on who will start against Brighton. So he had initially mentioned that he would be switching them up, but the high chances are I think Sa will retain his position. So those are the updates that we have from the conferences. I hope they are helpful. To go directly into what we had planned for today, some of the transfers in, we did notice high transfers in for Palmer, high transfers in for Son, who unfortunately, as we've heard, may not make it for game week 9. Johnson was also another one, so there were a lot of Tottenham Hotspur's assets being brought in. Ain't Nuri as well, and lastly Ganacho. We do notice some of these. You do notice some of these. I think make our watch list. Our watch list had a lot of these that featured in it. Then in the transfers out, we did have Saka, obviously was number one because of the whole injury and information that was coming out. Diaz, even today, we've not gotten something conclusive, but personally, I believe Saka should start the Liverpool game. Diaz was second because of his minutes not nailed. We did notice even in the Champions League, he didn't start, if I'm not mistaken. He came in a bit later. Then Trent, obviously, people are looking for the funds to bring in the likes of Foden, Palmer, Son, and all that. So Trent is one of those defenders that most people are using to at least fund these moves. Greaves, Semenyo, and lastly Gabriel. So with that noted, I think we're going to go directly into my team selection. Like I mentioned earlier on this week, it's not going to change much. I still have Haaland as my captain. There's been discussions of making Haaland triple captain. I think the stats or everything before the Southampton game points to that. He did score 2 goals in the Champions League. His team is looking good. And so very many, there's a number of people that I think are going to triple captain him. Personally, as you know, I've already used my triple captain. But if you ask for my advice, I do not think Man City is in the right shape. We do notice, for example, how porous they are in the back, and that is a result of their midfield, for example, with Rodri's absence. But even going forward, I feel like Haaland is not the same person without, for example, the likes of KDB, the likes of Grealish. So he's going to depend. I think the best he can get out of this game is if Foden really turns up. Foden and Savinho, I think, are going to be very important for him in terms of supply, and that is something that he really needs because, as we know, Haaland, his gameplay is not the kind that goes in the back to look for balls like the likes of Harry Kane that we've seen before. He needs the supply, so his team really needs to be up, and his midfielders need to provide the service for him to go ahead and do that. So personally, I know the fixture looks good, but I do not think it's worth triple captaining over because of all those other underlying factors. The next discussion point is about Son, who was supposed to be my vice captain. Now, personally, I've already made the move, and I do not think I'm going to change it. As you can see in my bench, I do have Trent Alexander, who I was thinking to bench because obviously my midfield was good enough. So I'm thinking I'm going to still keep Son in my team, and then I will hope in case he plays, maybe one of those shock moves, just fingers crossed. If he plays well and good, if he doesn't, I think Trent will be able to sub in for him. But for me personally, I want to be taking a hit for this. But for those that do want to take the hit, or for those that do have the extra transfer that they are willing to change to spend on this, I do advise the likes of Palmer. Palmer is looking very good, and I think he's going to be increasing in price probably today or latest tomorrow. So that is something to catch up on. Then also Foden is also looking good because the fixture looks good. The same way we are all running and also saying Haaland is a clear captain, for example. Foden is a very good second behind him. Mbeumo, if you do not have Mbeumo, Mbeumo is also looking very good, and I think is a must-have also for this game week. So those are some of the, I think, people that I would advise personally. Other than that, please don't forget the deadline. I'll see you. I'll post my team, I think, a few hours or few minutes before the deadline. FPL responsibly, and all the best in this game week that is coming up. Catch you later in my next video.